So our first topic is kind of on the reporting side, and I know a lot of RevOps team, good market ops team are kind of faced with this question a lot, and it's whether you should use a data warehouse and a BI tool along with your data warehouse to visualize the data to solve all of your reporting problems. Now, I think this is kind of a response to like the nature of people having disparate systems with different types of data that they want to join together. I also feel like it's a symptom of just go-to-market teams wanting to get all the data and then they don't even know what they want to do with it. um, and that's the need for that data warehouse. But of course, there's going to be exceptions to the rule. I think big companies, Google, Microsoft, any large enterprise, like they're used to using that for their reporting. But there's not really this need for some of the other things that we see as wrong with it. But yeah, I know you've talked about this a lot on your LinkedIn, and I'm currently undergoing this exercise audit with a large company's B2B side who's feeling the pain massively from having this. So, yeah, do you have what's kind of your thoughts?
I think it's important to be clear about the pain point we're really zeroing in
Yeah.
on here.
Yeah, that's true.
So we're definitely not against a BI tool. We're definitely
No.
not against a data warehouse. Where we see the pain that we want to dig into a lot and explore today is specifically around trying to join all of the tables or all of the objects
Hmm.
together. So say, for example, you're using Salesforce, you've got lead, you've got contact, you've got account, you've got opportunity, you've got all these other objects, and you're trying to get a reporting around kind of attribution or reporting around your funnel or life cycle. And that is pretty hard often to do just
Hmm.
out of the box. Well, it's impossible to do it out of the box in Salesforce, which is funny. Side point, I now have had maybe 5 or 10 times over the last few years a C-level person be on a sales call and just be like, I can't believe Salesforce doesn't do this stuff out of the box, or I can't
Yeah.
believe HubSpot doesn't do this reporting out of the box. And I'm just like, I mean, I wish it could, but it's way too complicated for them. And it's not one size fits all. And, anyway. So,
Although they're
because
attempting to do it with like Data Cloud and all that CRMA. I feel like there are attempts at doing it, but it's not really quite there. Definitely not out of the box.
whatever is out of the box is crap anyway. So, like
Yeah.
with HubSpot, the out of the box reporting on lifecycle or the out of the box reporting on lead source is terrible
Yeah.
because anyway. So, I'm not going to get on that point. So, you don't even want them to do it out of the box because whatever they're going to do is going to be so cookie cutter and vanilla. It's not going to suit your business processes. It's not
Yeah.
going to be good enough for you. You need to build a custom solution. It's not impossible. It's relatively technical and difficult. But anyway, so the point around the BI side is specifically you've got all of these disparate objects. You're trying to get this full view of the buyer's journey, and you're trying to get that in a reportable format
Hmm.
while also fixing some data issues where
Hmm.
maybe values aren't standardized, or there needs to be opportunities linked to certain kind of sources that
Hmm.
aren't actually kind of obviously linked in your CRM. So and then you do all of this data manipulation, table joining, data transformation outside in your warehouse, and then visualize that in your BI tool. So when you look at the report in BI, it shows you something, but it is very different than the underlying data that you have in your CRM.
Yeah.
That's kind of the story or the setup that we're evaluating here.
Yeah. I think um, just looking through this right now with the company, I've started to uncover some of the issues with it. And I think we see this time and time again, but I think one root problem that I see with it is the lack of trust in the data. And I think it's kind of in everyone's like kind of nature, but it's why like intent and things like that, people really struggle unless they can actually see what created that intent. It's like that black box mentality. I think people don't trust what they can't see or understand. Like people don't just believe, what they see. And so And then if you start to see discrepancies from what is in
Mhm.
your CRM versus what's in the reports in BI, then that trust erodes. If you then start to see also other issues with not knowing what filters to add on, no ability to click into the reports and see what filters potentially are on the data, the data that's being used, it just creates this eroding trust from the C level. You're reporting back numbers that don't make sense compared to what sales is reporting on, because sales usually will just go look at whatever they have in CRM, and it's just kind of a little bit of a
Mhm.
nightmare. And honestly, things could be perfectly fine in the setup, or that smart person that's building up the reporting the models, like, maybe has the best intentions, but they're probably trying to do a lot of filtering or do a lot of manipulation and massaging of the data that then doesn't happen at the source level. And so
Right.
there's no way to then kind of articulate that, and we all know there's no documentation usually either. So that's one of the pain points that we see. And so, am I a fan of BI and data warehouse? 100%. But I also am a fan of be using that for its purposes, being able to house a lot of historical data, so you don't have to keep that within CRM all time. Being able to also manipulate and create, custom dashboards a bit easier. 100%, I believe in that. But where I'm seeing the most issue is around that trust. And once it's been eroded, honestly, it's a very slippery slope. Whispers happen, everyone just doesn't trust it and they want to start over.
Yeah. 100% seen that so many times now. It's as simple as just VP of marketing, CMO going to a report. Maybe they're going to start off trusting it. They go, wait, this number's a bit weird. Let me go dig in a little bit deeper. Oh wait, how did this opportunity get linked to this? That seems weird. And then they go, okay, let me go have a look in Salesforce and see what's happening here. They look in Salesforce, they go, well, actually, this actually looks like this, or like this opportunity should actually been assigned to this. And actually, I don't know how we got from this underlying data set to this. Now, if this is happening on the one opportunity that I've looked at, this is probably happening on all of them.
Hmm.
So now everything's wrong.
Yep.
It's kind of like the same thing that you mentioned, the black box. It's like with intent. If sales gets one lead that says this has got high intent and they call them and they don't have high intent, they're like, all these leads are crap,
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, human beings have this massive negativity bias where if you find something wrong, you are going to extrapolate that to a lot of other things. Like rightly or wrongly, that's how we operate. So that that is a big part of it. The other thing, so I think the thing that is related to this that is really um, interesting and I really would recommend against is often the reason why all of this kind of interesting but technical work outside of Salesforce is happening to be able to join data together, get it in a reportable format, etc., and manipulate it, transform, update values, all this stuff. You're kind of just papering over all of the issues in your CRM.
Hmm.
It's like, and somebody even responded to a post I had the other day. It's like, well, once you get to a certain size, it's really hard to solve these issues in your CRM. I don't particularly believe that. I mean, it is hard,
Hmm.
but it's just as hard to fix that in your BI tool. And it's like why fix it in this abstract layer above where everyone's working? So if you think about it, when you do all of this work outside of Salesforce, you're kind of shortcutting to try and get to a good report, but you're skipping over the step of making sure you're tracking and getting data input in the right format. You're making sure you're standardizing the data the right way, making sure that you have a sales process that is consistent and sales are creating opportunities from the right contact, etc. All of these things process
Hmm.
happens in your CRM
Hmm.
and data input through your marketing automation platform. You have to have that underlying foundation. We talk about all the time. It's why our
Yeah.
go-to-market operations framework has a foundation layer and then a data and reporting layer above that.
Yeah.
You need to work on that foundation. You can't just skip over that and fix all your problems in your BI layer, because then you still have the problems underneath.
Hmm.
And then the issue when you have the problems underneath is not just related to reporting. It means you've got a crappy process, right?
Yeah.
So then it makes your people are working in chaos. But then also now when it gets to the reporting side, people go, okay, well, you've tied this to this, or you've done this and this, but then actually that is not what happened in reality, and I don't trust it anymore.
Yeah.
So you can't shortcut that step. You have to fix the foundation.
I think also when there's companies at a certain size, they want to be a little bit self-service. But also when I think about dashboards, and I think Allison would agree with this too, it's like an exploratory tool. And also if you think about it, like some of that exploring is uncovering bad data. And so if you're just sending data to a table that no one is seeing, basically, no one's monitoring, no one's looking at the actual data underneath it, and then you're just trying to visualize that data, there's also, room for not capturing bad data or something that could be falsifying the reports and things like that. And so I think that that could also happen, which leads to lack of trust. I also think that just in general, if you have this process, you're beholden to the team who has access to that data. And that's where I also see a big problem is one, that person is completely stressed out because it's not like they're getting lack of requests. Every request they have a ton of questions behind it. And then there's also things like, oh, you're busy, so let me go try and pull this report myself. And we know how that goes. That's not going to be the right thing to do. And so then there's teams reporting on different things. And then also, it's likely not going to be, I think once you kind of open up that like world of, oh, well, let's just manipulate the data, it then creates this also environment of like, let's manipulate the data. Like that's what we're also seeing where there's a team who's like, oh, okay, we know that you can do all this massaging to the data. Well, this thing is making our paid channels look bad. So can you just include this and report on this and stuff like that? And then that is something that they want to support, but it's also still in some way falsifying the data. And so you just get into this, like, I don't know, creating a culture of just massaging, manipulating, but not for the betterment, for worse, honestly.
And massages at work are kind of a no-no. So, but but like so the
no massaging at work.
No, especially not with data.
Unless you're a masseuse.
Fair play. Fair point. Yeah, I mean, I think the thing related to that if often what happens is the people that are building out the data tables and everything in the warehouse and getting the data prep for BI, etc. They kind of end up working in a bit of a silo and kind of like building out this kind of Frankenstack of their own kind of like how I want to do this, because you're not doing the work first to work with your marketing team and go, this is how we need to get data and input data, and this is how we want to standardize that data and update the source and update the campaign membership and make sure we're tracking UTMs and all of that.
Yeah.
And then work with the sales team to go, this is how you create opportunities. If you create it this way, this is going to be how that opportunity value is tracked back to attribution. And this, if you do it this way, this is how it's going to be tracked back. This is how you do outbound. When you work and you kind of bring all these teams together, like the partner team, the sales team, the team that's working the product, you've got a PLG strategy, to be able to work on that foundation, what you end up with is everyone aligned with how this foundation is now going to impact reporting.
Yeah.
But if you're only just focused on reporting and building out stuff there, you haven't got that alignment. So then another issue, like when you come and show everyone the reports, to your point, everyone's like, why is this tracked to that? Why is this doing that? Because they haven't been part of the process. All you've been doing is create this technical work behind the scenes.
Yeah. And I'll say another thing that I see a lot is then you get into this doom spiral of reporting with no analysis and insights being drawn. And that's the whole point of why you want reporting. So what keeps happening is that person too is working in a silo, constantly pulling reports. But also what ends up happening is like the owners of even drawing the data and insights, one either gets lost because by the time they spend all those hours pulling the data, they're just like, here's CMO, go draw whatever you want from this.
Right. They don't have time to do the analysis.
And then also the people that can easily figure out how to draw insights, which are the people that are working on the go-to-market strategy, aren't part of that process sometimes either because they're not close enough to the data. And then that person is working the silo, so they're not working together. And I think that that's an issue that we're seeing where there's reporting out, but there's not insights discovered. And that is a complete miss for a business. It's like all they're really doing is saying, like, here's the status of our business. But when it comes down to things like planning, figuring out what channels to invest back into, even just doing some kind of core storytelling around how their marketing and sales efforts are doing, it's not there. And that is the value that you get out of having data, in my opinion.
100% agree. So now we've completely
Trash.
trashed doing this. So the one positive, so like, there are positives, like